think big, but also have short-term goals, right? Like count every success as a win, and don't let the failures like phase you at all.
Welcome to Momentum Now by MVP, the podcast that delves into the stories of seasoned professionals, charismatic leaders, and passionate catalysts. Join us as we explore their career achievements, the challenges they've overcome, and their advice for young professionals of color navigating a fulfilling career journey. Today, our co-hosts, Bob Brooks and Karen McFarland, speak with the nonprofit founder and entrepreneur, Dylan Zajac. Dylan shares his story about creating and scaling Computers for People, an organization dedicated to bridging the digital divide within underserved communities. Dylan also highlights the importance of a philanthropic mindset and how embracing discomfort can accelerate personal growth.
Welcome back to Momentum Now. I am Karen McFarland, one of your hosts, and I am joined by my co-host, Bob Brooks. Hi, Bob.
Hey, Karen. It's going to be a great one today.
I know. I'm so excited to welcome Dylan Zajac. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Dylan, but we're here to learn about him from him. All right. So Dylan is, we start over. Can I start that part over?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Dylan is the founder and executive director of Computers for People. And Computers for People collects, refurbishes, and donates computers to individuals and organizations in under-resourced communities to promote equity and access to opportunity. He's also the co-founder of Pavement, which revolutionizes parking. But get this, he's a junior at Babson College. And he started Computers for People when he was just 15 years old, which is so incredibly amazing. Welcome, Dylan, to the show. Hi.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, hi, Bob and Karen. Great to see you. Happy to be on the podcast today. And yeah, let's get to it.
Dig it. So, tell us a little bit about a little more about Computers for People. We know that you donate a significant amount of equipment to folks who are in need of a computer or something that's a device of some sort. 23,000 pounds since the stat. I'm saying that for my Boston people from Babson, right? From the very start, you started refurbishing laptops, etc., and that's pretty amazing. Tell us a little bit more, and what are some of the challenges and opportunities that you've been uncovering over the past year?
Yeah. Well, I started originally 5 years ago, but our main goal with Computers for People is this main purpose to bridge what is called the digital divide. And the digital divide has three main parts that Computers for People now is trying to solve all of those parts. So the first one is device access. So what we do is we collect computers from individuals and companies that get rid of them. It's very common for large corporations to refresh their computers every 2 to 3 years. So we go in, collect all those computers, give them a tax write-off for it, take them to our offices where our employees and volunteers refurbish all the computers, make sure they're 100% wiped, and then partner with over 300 nonprofits that, connect us to individuals in need, whether they're senior citizens, refugees, veterans, students, formerly incarcerated. And we work with those nonprofits to have the individuals apply. And once they're approved, they get a computer for free. So that's like our main program. And through that, we've been able to donate over 2,500 computers. We're doing over 100 computers every single month, and that's growing exponentially. And then additionally, we're doing two other programs, which one of them is computer literacy classes. So almost every day we go out and do an in-person class, teaching people how to turn on a computer, create an email, be safe online, all of those things. And then the third part is internet access. So we've worked with T-Mobile and AT&T to donate hundreds of free hotspots with years of internet. And then we also are a grant recipient from the FCC, and we're getting 1,500 people signed up for free internet through this benefit. So that's what Computers for People does.
Kaboom! That is awesome. Dylan, that's just amazing. Gosh, And then you had about 1.4 million hours you've donated since the inception of Computers for People. That's impressive. And 200 nonprofits. How do you manage that? Because you're scaling now, right? You're scaling this organization. How are you connecting with these organizations? And then how do you fund all of this? Where are you getting the funding?
Yeah, so like when I first started, it was just cold calling, right? I did a lot of cold calling. So I would call up all these nonprofits, send them tons of emails. Probably 5 to 10% would actually email me back. And this is me reaching out to these nonprofits saying, hey, we'll give you free computers. And that's a 10% reply rate, which is kind of crazy. So that's how it started. But after doing that and developing the system, I started building out all these technologies to help us automate a lot of the process. So if you go on our website, you'll see like there's a form to donate a computer and there's a form to apply for a computer. That all feeds into our custom CRM system and also connects to our inventory system, which houses all of the computers that we have in inventory in our office. Those integrate together and allow us to like donate it, and we're able to see the computer from when it's donated, like who donated it, all the way to the client. So this helps us automate, and there's a lot less manual work that goes on. In terms of funding, it's grown a lot over the years. I think to date we've raised 1.5 million, and that is now around 60 to 70% through federal grants, federal and state grants, and then 30% let's say 20% is from foundations like AT&T, Verizon, Comcast have sponsored us, and then 10% is from donations and also earned revenue from selling surplus equipment.
Oh my gosh, there are so many questions I want to ask you and all that what you said. First of all, I just want to make a comment, right? So you just talked about your operations, which, by the way, you're talking about it as if it's normal for all that stuff to be just set up, and like that's hardcore for a lot of organizations, right? So kudos to you for creating this infrastructure that allows you to see the customer, all the way through. That's pretty amazing. From my marketing background, I'm just like, just cheering you on right there. But I want to go back a little bit because these are all incredible accomplishments. But I want to go back even a little bit further until like to the first day of you thinking about this idea. So one, how did that pop into your head? And two, like, how did you get started and just create this incredible organization? Like, what was that moment? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So like growing up from when I was like 10 to 15, I was obsessed with YouTube. Actually, I was like, I wanted to be a YouTuber. That was like my goal in life. I put everything, I was 10, but I put everything I had into that. And I think one of the biggest things that allowed me to like pursue YouTube was having a laptop at age 10. Like I couldn't have been able to do that without the laptop. I learned so much about business, about filmmaking, all these things through that laptop, right? Fast forward to being a sophomore in high school, 14, 15 years old. Me and my friends would go to different thrift stores around New York City, buying old electronics, taking them back on the subway, refurbishing them, and selling them on eBay and Facebook Marketplace. We had like pretty good business going for ourselves. I was making good money, and we were having a lot of fun doing it. But then through this venture, I saw that, wow, all these companies that were giving this technology to thrift stores didn't know how to get rid of it, because like only a small percentage would go to these thrift stores and would be resold. And it turned out that 85% of the like 7.2 million metric tons of electronic waste every single year in the United States, 85% of that goes into the landfill. So I'm like, where's all this electronic waste going, right? So I saw that, and then while in a random conversation with my stepmother, who now happens to be the president of the Computers for People board, she told me how dozens of her clients at her nonprofit don't have access to computers and can't afford them, but need them for job search, for education, for telehealth, for federal benefits. And that was the light bulb moment right there. Like, oh, I can just collect all these computers, refurbish them, and donate them to people in need. And I'll figure out, how to fund it later. But that was a light bulb moment. The next day, I went on, GoDaddy.com, used the money from my refurbishment business to buy the domain names, and then just started figuring out how to file for 501c3, and that was how it started.
So you started off with a philanthropic mind, right? Like you were like, I'm going to donate these computers rather than I'm going to resell them. And, I know you were buying parts and reselling them, but then you moved into this philanthropic spirit, which I think is very unique in many ways. Is that something that was developed through your family, through school? Like, how did that even come into your mindset?
Yeah, I would say volunteering was always like part of my life. Like growing up, my mom would always take us to different places to volunteer, to food banks, to homeless shelters. My elementary school, that was called All Saints as a kid, they would always have us make sandwiches during snack time and bring them to people and hand them out. So I always had that in the back of my mind, but I don't know if that really fully inspired Computers for People to be what it is. Okay. I just saw that this was an opportunity to make a significant change in the world, to make a significant impact, and I had the ability to do that. I'm like, it's now or never. I gotta go, and it was just like a calling to just do it because I knew it was gonna work.
It's amazing. And you have staff, right? You have full-time employees. Is that right?
Yeah, so we have 10 full-time staff right now. So they're all currently in the New Jersey office, in our Hoboken, New Jersey office. And then we're hiring more right now. So if anyone's looking to work for Computers for People, please let us know. We have a lot of openings in Massachusetts and in Hoboken. So.
And can you speak to some of the recent recognition, either the awards or some of the television appearances that you've had recently, and if you learned anything from all of that?
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough to get some really cool recognition for myself and for Computers for People. One of them being on NBC on the Kelly Clarkson Show, and these were just out of the blue. They just emailed me or called me and said, you have an opportunity to do this tomorrow. Do you want to drive down to New York City and do it? I'm like, of course I will do that. So I think it's just a testament to, I guess, the power of our work, of what we're doing right now, how much it has an impact on people. And also a testament to the time that we're in. The digital divide is a massive issue that is only going to keep growing. I named those 3 parts of digital inclusion, but in front of that is what's going to happen with AI and robotics and all these things that we don't even know the problems of the future, right? And I'm excited. I'm not excited, but Computers for People is going to be at the forefront of trying to fix those problems and continue fixing, bridging this gap. So, it's exciting. Yeah.
And you've received a few awards recently and won an innovation award. I would call it an innovation award. You tell me what it is, though.
I don't even know what it is, to be honest.
A competition recently?
Yeah, so I was in a couple different competitions. One is EO, also the Global Student Entrepreneurship Awards. So I won the Boston chapter, and now I get to go to Nashville next year in February. So I'm excited to experience some country music over there, and hopefully compete to move on to the next round and go to globals and hopefully represent the United States. That would be big. And also I got the Boston Inno 2525. So that was really cool to just meet a lot of other young people that are trying to change the world through entrepreneurship. Yeah, it's amazing.
You talk about this so eloquently, and you're on these, bigger and bigger stages. How does that make you feel in terms of like your, public speaking? Is that something that you're always comfortable with? Did you have to develop that over time? Did you like being in front of people, or
Yeah, I hate public speaking. It's like the worst thing ever. If I have to, especially if I have to give a presentation with like slides and it's rehearsed, I like freak out before that. I remember when I was first starting and I had to have a meeting with another nonprofit to discuss like just what I'm doing, how we can help you. I was freaking out. I just didn't know what to say. So I just like sit there quietly, and like then they would ask me a question, I would go blank and I like didn't know what to say. But it's really like I've learned that it's a skill that you just develop like anything else. And you have to just put yourself into as many uncomfortable situations as possible. And you just keep doing it, and then eventually it comes naturally. And just being comfortable in the moment, I think is like one of the best skills to acquire over time. Is even with like the NBC interview, I was talking to like a couple of different coaches, like speech coaches, and they're like, just be yourself, just like don't be anxious. Like whatever you do, don't be anxious, don't be nervous, just be yourself. I'm like,
eliminate anxiety.
I'm like that's crazy, but at the same time, that's the best advice. If you can just like almost everyone is capable of just having just a normal conversation one-on-one, right? So if you can just imagine that it's a normal conversation one-on-one, and don't think that there's 2 million people watching you right now, then you'll do fine.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
So yeah.
I had a speech coach one time say to me, just breathe. Nice, deep breaths. 5 deep breaths while they're thinking or doing an introduction or before you walk on stage. 5 deep breaths. And that really helps. Without question. But
I've learned is no one knows what you're going to say. So even if you mess up, the only person who knows is you. So just don't act like you messed up.
Right on.
You'll be fine.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And also if you don't know what to say at all, just think about it, right? There's time. Time. Like you can just wait and like, let me think about that. Don't say, I don't know. Just take a pause and come back and say your answer.
Great advice. In preparing for today, one of the things I imagined is the naysayers out there when you were initially coming up with this idea, initially launching it, the first grant that you wrote. Have there been naysayers, or are you really fueled by the positivity of others and your family and friends? And can you tell us how you've navigated all of that?
I would say the negativity does not motivate me. I'm more motivated by, trying to succeed. Like obviously success will give you more motivation and more energy to just keep going. But you need to know how to like accept failure and just like learn from it and move on. That's extremely important. Like when I was first starting, trying to apply for money and apply for grants, the first like 5 to 10 grants that I applied for all denied me. And that was like, that's devastating when you're starting something and you put so much into it and everyone just tells you like, hey, sorry, we don't think this is going to work. That's devastating. And still today, I believe that I've gotten to like a certain point where, I've proved that this model works. Like it makes sense. And still like probably 8 out of the 10 grants that I apply for deny us. And every single week I get a denial email from a grant. And that's difficult, but you just have to go back and, see what you did wrong and learn from it. And that, 20% that you do get right, those go out into the public. Everyone hears about them, and you just have to, keep going. So,
Did
yeah,
you
it's interesting.
find that you felt any setback or challenge because of your age, right? Particularly in the beginning, but I mean, you're still young, and you're
Yeah,
mostly, I expect, dealing with people older than you who have certain, biases that they may or may not be aware of.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, just starting a business at 15 years old, you can't do most things at
Mm-hmm.
15, right? Like I needed to have someone else on the incorporation documents. I needed to have someone else sign for a bank account. I needed to have all these different things. Um, and I'm really thankful, like my family stepped in and, wanted to put their name on an incorporation document. I know many that won't.
Mm-hmm.
So finding that person that believes in you, uh, is important. But also age was a big issue with like doing school at the same time. Like I was in high school for most of the start of C4P. And then when I was going to college, most people thought like, oh, this is just gonna die out. Like every, high school students have projects. They work on, little nonprofit projects. And then when they go to college, they do bigger and better things over there.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, that is not going to happen. That was like my worst nightmare, for it to just die after 2 years of hard work. So I worked for like, I luckily had 6 months free after high school, um, to work full time. So I just worked full time, and all these grants that I was counting on to hire staff all denied us. 3 grants that I was waiting on, they all denied us. It was about a month before I left for college. We had no hired staff, not enough money to pay anyone. And I ran like a fundraiser event, which luckily like over 100 people showed up to. We got like the mayor of Hoboken, and a bunch of other really cool people to attend. And we raised like over $30,000 that night. And with that money, we were able to hire our first employee, and he started up. And well, I went to college. I managed computers for people remotely from Boston, and somehow it's just worked out that way. Now we have 10 full-time people, and I'm still somehow in college, and I'm hoping it ends soon. But yeah, yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm like
Fantastic.
wondering also how you balance all of that between schoolwork and, I'm sure you have, like social life and all that good stuff that college students engage in.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of time in the day. I would
Okay.
say there's ways to be very efficient with your time, and like I still have time to do things that like make me happy. Like computers for people makes me happy. So like I wouldn't do it if I didn't love doing it. But there's also like I work at an ice skating rink at my school part time, because they teach me how to drive the Zamboni and teach me how to sharpen skates. I just love that too. So I work there. Um, but I also, I have a social life sometimes, and it just
So what is a typical day in terms of time management, right? I think that's a big thing for especially young people to kind of figure that out. So like what's a typical day in Dylan's life between running
yeah,
company, going to school?
usually from like 8:30 to like maybe 5 or 6 p.m. I have like full meetings booked, but then in between that I'll have like a class or two, a college class or two. And then at 6 p.m., you could see me probably driving from Wellesley, Massachusetts, where Babson is, to Cambridge, because then I meet with the team for pavement to work on some business over there. So I go over to MIT, work for a while, probably till like 10 or 11, drive back to my school, go to sleep, wake up, and do it again the next day.
That's it.
And then throughout the day, I'm just constantly, answering emails. Usually during class, I'm just working on emails and stuff. So yeah, the balance isn't really there, but
And
it's
you,
fun.
you touched on pavement. We Karen and I have talked about it just before we started to record. But tell us what pavement is. I mean, is that another business that you're helping to fuel?
Yeah, we're a little bit in stealth mode right now, I would
Okay.
say.
All right. So maybe don't talk
But
about pavement then.
yeah, but we're working on some technology for the parking garage industry. So trying to help make the process for finding parking and paying for parking easier. Yeah,
Fantastic.
so we're working on a couple cool things right now. Have had some good traction, and my two co-founders are undergrads at MIT, so they're very technical, and I'm just excited to like learn more about the for-profit space, the startup space, because I love the nonprofit space, but I think if I was able to get computers for people to a certain point, and then also do for-profit work where some ideas that I have and the ambitions I have can feed money into the nonprofit space too. I think that can have like the most impact. So
that's great. Yeah. That's fantastic. And what's next for you? What's either next for the organization, for you, for what you're going to be doing later tonight? Like, what's next for you? What's next?
Well, later tonight we're going to go pick up some groceries. So I'm excited to do some grocery shopping. But next for Computers for People and for me is massive growth. Hopefully, like I have very large ambitions for what Computers for People can be and what it will be. Like we're starting to develop a new location in Massachusetts right now after getting a large amount of funding from the state. So we're building it out. I'm process mapping everything so that once I prove that we can build a new location in this state, why can't we do it in every other state, right? After analyzing the communities and seeing where our best fit location could be. And after that, I think that there will be enough electronic waste in the United States to serve the whole need of the digital divide and all the people that need a computer. There should be enough waste according to the numbers and the statistics. So based on that, I want to start taking electronic waste and going to other countries that possibly don't have any access to internet or computers or skills, digital skills, and going and seeing how we can best help those communities is something I'm looking forward to in the future. But we got to get national, and then we can get international.
That's
this is
amazing.
Fantastic.
What advice would you give a young person just starting out? They want to start a new business, whether it's for profit or nonprofit, but like, what should they be thinking about? What's their first step, right? According to Dylan Zajac, right? Who's been there, done that.
Yeah. I would say from the beginning, just think big. Like, think big, but also have short-term goals, right? Like, count every success as a win, and don't let the failures like phase you at all. Like from the beginning with Computers for People, I was like, I knew that this could be massive, and like I'm not surprised today with what's happened, and where we've gotten. So just like think big, think long term, but yeah, look short term and conquer each challenge.
I love that advice about thinking big, because too often, when you limit yourself, and you feel limited by your surroundings, right? Then you can't see past that, and then the dreams die. So I think that's a really important piece of advice, is to just, where do you want to be long term? Think big. I love that. That's advice for everybody.
But that's also like not literal. Like I also like literal, like very like real advice. So if I heard that, I would be like, what does that even mean? So like if people wanted more advice, I probably could talk for like 3 hours about how to actually make a nonprofit and what are the different steps and all these different things, which could be probably way more useful than that advice. So if anyone listening to this wants that advice, please let me know.
I mean, but
Fantastic.
you started off with a big idea, right? And
Yeah.
you turned it into something, right? So you have to have the idea first, and then iterate on that. And you have the support systems around you. So yes, there's the practical how to, but if you don't have that wherewithal, to say, hey, there's something here that I think that I can solve, and I'm going to take that step to do it. So I think that's a big step, and a lot of people don't go past that. So
Definitely.
kudos to you again for that.
Karen, would you like to do key takeaways and wrap up, or would you like me to take a shot at it?
Why don't you take a shot at it, Bob? I'll back you up.
I love it. Well, please back me up. Please back. And then Dylan, you can jump in if I missed anything, but in no particular order. Public speaking can be scary, but just be yourself. Focus on that. Lean into positivity. Right? Fuel the mission or fuel what you believe in by just leaning into positivity. Find the believers, and then find time to do the things that make you happy. I thought that was great advice. A lot of us forget about that, and time flies by and we're busy. But find time to do the things that make you happy, whether it's, driving the Zamboni or
Sharpening skates.
right, whatever it might be. Time management is important. Pay attention to it. Never, never, never give up is a walk away that I have, even though you didn't exactly say that, but just never give up. Keep pushing
Just
forward.
will things into existence.
Exactly.
Just make it happen.
Manifest what you need and want to give the universe, and then think big and have short-term goals. I had a mentor one time say to me, it takes just as much energy. It takes just as much energy to think big as it does to think small. Think big. And I loved that. And I love that you said that as well. So actually, I think it's really good advice. What did I miss, Karen? Anything?
I got a couple, right?
All right. Good. Go.
But I had some of those, so that was good. Put yourself in as many uncomfortable situations and develop that skill, right? Success gives you more motivation, so count every success as a win. And for all the parents out there, YouTube is a powerful motivator. Let them watch. Get on the computer. Screen time is a good thing. That's what I just heard from the whole conversation. We need to revisit the whole screen time argument. Right?
Right on.
There's a balance.
Yeah, there is a balance. Karen, would you like to do rapid fire, or should I jump into these?
Go for it.
All right. So just whatever pops into your head first, just answer. Here we go. Rock and roll. All right. Positives, negatives, that kind of thing. What was your favorite subject in high school?
Lunchtime.
Nice. What was your least favorite subject in high school?
Science.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
Never negotiate with yourself.
Nice. What's the worst advice you've ever heard or received?
That won't work.
Good. What's your greatest superpower, Dylan?
Energy.
And then how about a weakness? What's your greatest weakness, and how do you navigate that?
I was going to say a bad one. Oh, yeah. I was going to say empathy.
Huh. Really? I think that's a superpower. But
interesting.
No. I think that's a superpower, but it could be seen as a weakness.
Well,
in business.
Yeah. It's true that sometimes superpowers are also weaknesses too, if we don't keep them in check, right? And then what's your why? Why do you do what you do?
Good question. Just to leave the biggest impact that I can, biggest positive impact on humanity as I can. Yeah.
Well, you're doing it, Dylan. You're really doing it. You must be making your parents proud, your team proud, your community proud, Babson College proud. Gosh, I haven't known you more than a couple hours, and I'm proud of you. It's not that you need someone else being proud of you, but holy moly, it's amazing what you're doing, and you should be proud. That's the most important thing. You should be proud, Dylan. That's amazing what you've done.
I'm so excited to see what you're going to do next, and I know you're going to reach your goals, whatever you decide you want to do. Clearly, you have the wherewithal to do it, fortitude to do it. So I'll be watching.
Congratulations, Dylan. You're doing great work, and thanks for being on the podcast. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Have an amazing 2024.
Thank you. Happy New Year.